Well, welcome everybody. My name's Kevin Lyles, and it's Ray Jones here. We've been doing this for a few years now. How many years? Like 9 years?
2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
few years off.
Yeah. How many folks here have never come to a photo night? Your first photo night tonight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
We have got some new faces. Yeah.
There's a lot of cyclists out there.
I think you got a lot
A lot of cyclists.
Yeah. Oh,
cyclists.
So yeah, we got started in 2016. Just a quick overview about this, and then we'll get started. We got a big show tonight. Really excited about it. We started back in 2016, just kind of wanted to invite photographers to talk about their creative process, how they make images, what makes them tick, kind of a peek behind the curtain. It all started because I had coffee with you, and I wanted to see your work, and you were our first guest.
There we go.
Made it happen. And so, yeah, that's been the whole thrust of it. It's not like, shutter speeds and aperture. It's more about, how you think, how you create, what inspires you. And it's been incredible to do this long. And I have some housekeeping notes before we get started here. Did you have anything with that?
Just a thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's been, if you remember this year, this is our fourth event. And this year was kind of a relaunch for us. We had some post-COVID, just figuring out, a new home. So thank you, Terminus, Nathan Bolster. It's a beautiful studio for letting us do this here. And yeah, just, Kevin and I got really busy with our work, and just trying to figure out how to make this work, how to keep it something that is of value. And, we didn't want to just get lazy about it. So yeah, thank you for coming out. And we're going to continue next year. We'll touch on that more, but more next year. And hopefully we will continue to be here as our sort of permanent residence here at Terminus.
We've been to so many places, like our 10th place.
This is a good one. The first place we started. Foster on in Ponce Highland. Yeah. Is not there anymore. Citizen Supply.
Not there anymore.
I don't know.
Space.
White Space.
White Space.
On Edgewood. Yep. Anybody been there? Awesome. Really cool gallery.
And Elliot's place.
Yeah, Elliot, the studio behind Lady Bird, that's no longer there. Facet Gallery. That was a fucking awesome place. We were at Switch Yards. Yep. Anyways, we're here. Yeah, this place is amazing.
Yep. We're very grateful to be here. It's obviously an incredible space. I want to thank a few people before we get started. Obviously, Terminus Studios for letting us, do this. I want to thank Julian Alexander and Jen Finch, who are kind of we don't have a staff.
Yeah, please.
Give you guys a round of applause.
Julian's been running around all day, literally making all of this happen.
Yeah,
right here. Thank you, Julian.
Actually, so what happened is Julian came to me last year and was like, hey, because Photo Night had pretty much dissolved. Like we closed everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, if we do all the work and you guys just get up there and talk.
I was like, yes, of course.
So basically that's what's happened.
Been waiting for someone to say that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible without them.
Yeah.
We have some sponsors I'd like to thank. First is Aperture Rent. They're located up on Roswell Road, near 285 on Sandy Springs, if you don't know. They rent lenses and cameras and lighting and all kinds of stuff. Everything's online. The prices are on the website. You can pick up locally, but they also ship nationwide. And they have a 10% off coupon with the code is ATL Photo Night 10. If you need it later, holler at me, I'll give it to you. They have a couple deals coming up for the holidays, free rental days for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They are a platinum sponsor, and also a platinum sponsor is Kimberwick, who is doing our video production tonight and all the fancy lighting.
Yeah.
Really good folks. Matt and Katie Fish, local production house, partnering with photographers to seamlessly deliver video that moves at Kimberwick. Photographers and filmmakers collaborate to bring stories to life. That sounded just like a podcast.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And then silver sponsor is KEH. Everybody
knows KEH. Come on.
They've been with us a long time. Mm-hmm. I think they're the oldest. Oldest camera rental cell company.
Well, they're the largest reseller of used camera gear in the
universe.
I was going to say solar system. But yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. And yeah, they've been a sponsor with us for a while.
Yeah.
And they now have because for a while they didn't have a walk-in place. Now
They have an actual store.
Yeah,
Maybe
in Smyrna. On November 14th and 15th, they have the Camera Gear Expo and Trade event. You can trade in your gear for cash on the spot. Hands-on demos from top brands, exclusive manufacturer specials, expert-led workshops and experiences, and the Cam Kirk Studios photo. Thank you, KEH. Now, these guys are not a sponsor. They were a sponsor, but I got to shout out to PPR. Everybody knows
RIP, PPR, yeah, sad.
For those of you who don't know, PPR, Professional Photo Resources here in Atlanta, they've been open for decades.
I don't know how long.
When did they open? Anybody know? But, they were a rental house, and they are closing at the end of the year.
Closing forever. Yeah.
Yep. And they also have PPR Picks. They're still open. They've sold most of the stuff by now, but hate to see them go. Just wanted to say thank you to them. It's
Quick shout out.
RIP. Yeah. Also want to say that the Atlanta Photojournalism Seminar is the same weekend as that KEH event. That's a great event. Anybody interested in photojournalism? They have a great lineup this year. Neil Leifer, the guy who took that Muhammad Ali picture.
Yeah.
Here. Doug Mill from New York Times.
Yep.
They got great lineup. So that's all the notes I have. So we can get going.
Did we take APA? APA?
That's our in-kind sponsors. Why don't you take that over?
This is APA. American Photographic Association? I don't know.
I always get that wrong.
Topo Chico, all this stuff over here. Everybody loves Topo Chico. Love the TC.
Tip your bartender.
So thank you, Kevin, for the sponsors. I'm going to tell you all a little bit about the person who's going to be sitting where Kevin is sitting. This is a really special one for me. So special, in fact, that I wrote something, which I never do. It's probably going to be better because I won't stumble and say a lot and miss all these things. So so I first met Andrew Hetherington, the artist joining us tonight, at the Velodrome in East Point. What is a velodrome? The non-cyclists are asking. It's a track that you ride your bike around really fast, and it's incredible. It's amazing.
From the Olympics.
They do that in the Olympics. Yes, it's they're. Listen, our velodrome is really special. It's, if you haven't seen it, it's like a public park. It's like what a baseball field would be. Like, it's open. You can go there and walk around it. Just it's amazing. It's got like a creek running through the middle, a tree, which I know doesn't sound amazing, but it is for a velodrome, that there's a tree in the middle. So I knew who Andrew was actually long before I met him. I lived in New York City the same time he did. And because I'm a photographer, I look at every byline for everything that I see in a magazine or anything. And I saw his name a lot, and I knew what he was doing. He had a blog, all this cool stuff. But we didn't meet until here. Our paths led us here to Atlanta around the same time. And now, I'm humbled to call Andrew a really close friend. So much so that my kids call him Uncle Andy. I think that's pretty fucking cool. And I'm just, it's really great to have a creative ally like Andrew nearby. I think we all really need that as creatives. You need that person who can tell you, like, that's fucking stupid, or that's really great, or just like loan you something that you broke, or like, just all that stuff. So it's great. So thank you, Andrew, for just being like a creative ally. I'm not going to give away too much about Andrew's story because it's a pretty crazy one, but I'm going to say real quick, he was born in Dublin, discovered photography, moved to New York City, made a lot of waves, did everything, then moved to Atlanta, made even bigger waves, and he continues to make really big waves. And please help me welcome Andrew Hetherington. Hey.
This picture?
I'm going to give this to you.
We're touching mics. We're touching.
Don't touch my mic. This is for you.
Hang on. Okay.
So,
hang on. Halfway Crooks, please.
Let's
shout out
yes.
to Halfway Crooks for supplying it here.
Halfway Crooks, one of the best brewery Sorry to offend anyone else.
Whoops,
In Atlanta, some of our really close friends. And this is in a Brevet Pilsner, fairly new, and in this beautiful can with all this beautiful branding.
Sorry.
If you read it, it's really funny. All this stuff is, it's really cool. Yeah. How you feeling over there? You okay?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, Kevin,
To me and to you.
I don't know
and-
what Kevin did. So.
I don't know if you guys realize, but we're in the same shirt. Yeah.
How did that?
It says
how did that
photo.
end? Great.
And Andrew made me.
Yeah, great. Thanks. I made you. Why did I
made
make
me.
you? What did I make you do?
But in all seriousness, let's start off with the most important question. What is your favorite f-stop?
Wow, you're really going there. Like at the beginning?
Is it 2.0?
Ooh,
Is it 0.95?
it's 2.8. It is genuinely 2.8.
2.8.
2.8. 2.8 with the Digi, F8 with the film. For the
Okay.
Hasselblad.
Mine's F8. I've got it tattooed on me. So
Oh, you
mine,
do?
mine is
Yeah,
definitely
can
F8.
Can we see? I'll show you my scar if you show you your
Okay.
your F8. Wow. Ooh. Look at that. Well, you know, we need these we need to get these.
Should I just take my shirt off?
Sure.
You should.
Thanks.
That was an insider photographer joke. We don't really care. There is no such thing as. Well, I guess there is.
We don't care.
but-
I mean, come on,
no,
everyone cares.
we don't. We're not here to talk about f-stops.
Oh, we're not?
Let's get to the good shit. Can you
Okay.
go to the next one, please?
Okay.
These are all his pictures.
No, they're not all mine. Well, these are, yeah.
These are all
anyone
yours,
who was
and
here,
they're great.
anyone who's here to listen to stories about these pictures.
Sorry.
Tough.
Bill Clinton, nope. Fuck him. Donald Trump, definitely fuck
no.
him.
Definitely no.
We're
yeah.
talking about the good shit.
Yeah.
Kai Cenat, he's cool. Yeah, exactly. T-Pain, yes. Who else is up there? Okay.
Yeah.
Hot ones? Yeah, I
Sesame
love
Street.
that.
I mean, that's always
Right.
good. All right. Okay.
So here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Who's
You ready?
that? All
Okay,
right.
we're starting from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, I did want to start with the potato famine, but I think we're way back. I think it was time for a.
We all
I have a
learned in
slideshow
school.
presentation ready for.
We'll do that one in January next year.
Okay,
In
all right.
2026.
That will be about 5 hours, I think. Just anyway. All right. Who's that? That is my dad, Stuart. That is him in 1961. My dad was an only child. He left school. He was always interested in film and photography, and he left school at 16 with his parents' blessing to work at. There was one big film studio in Ireland at the time called Ardmore Studios. So he started at 16 as a clapper loader, basically starting at the bottom of the bottom. So you would load the film into canisters, and you would do the clapper on set. So that's how he got his start.
Wow.
So we're going to just skip through things here. But in 1961, Ireland had pre-1961 a radio station, but there was no television station. So in 1961, Radio Telefís Éireann was born, also known as RTE, which means Radio Television Ireland. That's about as much Irish as I know. And Dad was recruited because again they had to start making programs before they could, because back then trying to broadcast anything live was, they didn't have the capabilities. So this is him in 1961. This is his camera car. I don't know how he got everything in the boot or the trunk, as you Yanks would say.
Yeah.
And you can just see, the camera, it was a wooden box.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's none of this ergonomic,
So he's a cinematographer.
primarily a cinematographer, yeah. And so he went into, he
had to work his way up, but he was obviously that was his goal. He was a camera. He wanted to do that.
he wanted to be a cinematographer. So
Incredible.
primarily, cinematographer didn't necessarily actually operate the camera either. They set the lighting and the thing,
Sure.
depending on the production. But obviously, in television, you are operating the cameras. The thing about my dad was he's very technical, and he was always into gear. So he was always, but it just blows my mind that, I remember him coming home with boxes and cases and, all hand built, wooden, and so I think that was a Hunter Hillman.
Wow.
Excuse me. So he would have been 19 when this
In this photo?
In this photo, yeah.
Killing it.
So on a picture on the left, that's my dad in the Congo, again for RTE. Irish United Nations troops were deployed there during the handover from the Belgians to the Congolese. And the picture on the right is 1969 on the west coast of Ireland. That's my dad on the left. He was quite a sartorially elegant, stylish man.
I can tell.
Always had a thing. He always had super cool sunglasses. So that's him on the left, and I was actually there. I'd just been born, and he was. I think the story is that they were there for like 6 or 8 weeks filming, and that my mom brought me, and
Yeah.
I had the whooping cough.
You ruined it. You ruined it for him.
Yeah, wasn't very romantic. So this is my mom and my dad.
Oh.
This is the picture on the left is my mom Terry, and
Terry and
that's
Stuart.
Stuart. Yeah, and you can.
Beautiful.
This was when they were like super duper young, and I think my dad he took these photographs. I think he put the one on the left. He had it on a timer.
Yeah.
And this is them a few years later, all dressed up,
So they're a young, happy couple, and then
boom, this happens.
fucking hellion.
This guy, he's ruined it all. Yeah, that's me.
That's you. We need that haircut back.
It's a good.
Or that's your Halloween costume in a couple of weeks. So next week.
Oh, right.
I mean, come on.
Oh, come on, man.
I'll do it if you don't. I'll dress up.
But look at those short shorts.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. So obviously, I liked having my photograph taken.
Fucking loved it. I could tell. I could feel the energy.
I didn't. I hated it. So every time, now you look back, but at the time I was just so embarrassed because my dad had the camera all the time. But now it's kind of dawned on me that no one ever saw these pictures because they went in an album. Like it's not like they were on, they're online or anything.
Yeah,
so I don't know why. But it was still. I think it was more the fact that I was a very shy child and that I just didn't like the attention.
Yeah, there's something natural about that happens when a camera is pointed at someone where you feel like, okay, well, now I've got to perform.
Well,
we're
obviously I'm performing.
We're kind of born into that. Like you're expected to smile or perform or do something. And yeah,
Are you critiquing my?
I love this performance now. It's like,
Okay. All right. But so
he said,
which one am I?
So Stuart, I know where you're in the middle.
I'm in the middle.
Stuart said, let me back up, put the longer lens on.
Let me get out of the way.
So
yeah.
fucking mad.
And I'm like, oh fuck, Dad, really? Like there's like team here and thing, and you're the only parent on the camera, the only parent. So when I was a kid, obviously like most kids, I thought I would be a professional soccer player.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is me when I was like 7, I think. But yeah, I mean, Dad was always there with the camera. Fucking hell. Yep. Like that. All right, for all the cyclists in
Now
the
we're
room.
talking. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
All right. So that's me on the left with a Rally Olympus.
35-pound, just.
Oh yeah. And only five gears. That's my brother Richard on the right. He's got a cool Peugeot single speed though.
That thing is cool.
So the cyclists will appreciate this. You notice how slammed the saddles are? because back then you bought a bike for the future. You had to grow into it. That was probably too big for me.
This is it for the next 30 years. You better grow into it.
So I was I don't think the saddle got any higher, but I thought I could be a professional cyclist. Here's a better picture of me, though. Look at that.
So real quick, so you move on from you try soccer?
I try soccer, yeah. I'm not very good.
Cycling a big deal at the time? Were there heroes? Were there people?
Yes.
Pros? There were one or two pros?
Sean Kelly. Yeah, and Stephen Roach was kind of trickling.
Okay.
I would have been like 12 or 13.
And you were watching them on TV or newspaper?
It was tricky.
Yeah.
It was tricky. Usually the races, we saw them like a month later.
Sure.
And then these things called magazines, we got them like a month later. So it was all, you know,
Older.
it was all like
news.
kind of old news, but it felt like new news because there was no other news. You know, you
Well, I
didn't know how
gotta
to
say, good form.
So yeah, so this is me at the this is the underage national road race championships at Montello Park. Shout out Dave. You probably know.
Hey.
Did we race together?
Dave's there.
Look at that. Is that, you on,
He's
is that
in-
you on the left, Dave? Looks like you.
Unbelievable.
There you go. So yeah, I thought I'd be a professional cyclist, but this race kind of decided that I wasn't good
was
enough.
the end of the
I
path.
wasn't good enough. Yeah. So I lined up like everybody else, and they all took off. And I'm like, where's the neutral zone?
I mean, imagine if you were a grown adult man still riding a bike and racing now. Like, how would that feel?
You
Like,
know,
if you were
it's
still trying to win.
It's the same. But so that was that. So I realized I would never go pro. So I'm like, do you notice a pattern yet? All
The
right.
pattern is adaptation, right? And
Well, when you
trying new
realize you're
things.
shit at something,
Hey,
you just move on to something else. All right, who can spot me here?
Which one? That's right.
Yeah, that's me as a teenager.
That blazer, the jacket is the
Wow,
jacket
look at
is
that
just
tight
like-
fit. Look at that hair. Look at those white socks. That's the whole thing right there.
Kind of looks like Jules, doesn't it?
Well, no, there might have been a pack of 20 cigarettes in the pocket. Just saying.
There better be.
But yeah, so no sports for me.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of kids go through this because the parents encourage sports. Sometimes the kids want to do it, sometimes they don't, and
Well, maybe you just realize you're shit.
yeah, and then your parents realize your shit too. So
Yeah, and then they get really worried because then you
get
grow
on.
your hair out.
Yeah.
And start smoking
Start
cigarettes
listening
and
to
going to
punk
the
music.
pub.
Yeah,
And listen to
cigarettes.
So this is the '80s in Ireland. As any teenager, I was like interested. I again, once I realized my sporting career was over, I kind of packed that in completely. And then it was time to, I was always interested in art and fashion and music, but this was an exciting time in the '80s, with new wave and post-punk
sure,
and the whole thing. So, it was, I wouldn't say, what wouldn't I say? But you know what? I don't know what to say, but this is, so on the left is a drawing I did of Robert Smith and Susie Sue, and the picture in the middle is our home now with some pictures I took back in the day. And one of my first gigs, I went to see the Smiths in 1994.
But save the ticket.
But the reason for all this is kind of like, just kind of finding what your interests are,
Finding your path, yeah.
finding a path. But the challenge though was that, I obviously wasn't very good at drawing, because that's kind of traced. And I couldn't play an instrument, and I couldn't sing. I mean, I had nice hair. So, how, like what do I do? So I joined a camera club.
But you had to do it in a way, right? That wasn't like, I'm going to do what Dad does, right? So,
Well,
slightly different?
It was slightly different. You know what it was? My parents were great. My parents were the fucking coolest. When they found out I was smoking, it was like it wasn't I mean, they obviously weren't too keen on it, but my mom smoked, so we started sharing cigarettes. My dad bought me my first beer. It was just like a very natural. They were part of a new generation of Irish people. Ireland in their youth was a very conservative Catholic country.
Right,
so, and they were teenagers in the 60s. So that was kind of the start of the thing. My dad always said, Ireland in the 50s was just black and white. Like literally, that's how he would describe it. It's just black and white. My parents were obviously worried about, what are you going to do? I mean, you've given up on sports and you're crap at that, and what are you going to do? So, my dad very much encouraged me. I think, really he was thinking that I could follow in his path. And I had no interest in that because I didn't want to do what he did. Yeah. And also at that time too, in terms of a job, like my dad worked for the national television station, so it's jobs, a job is a real job.
Yeah.
There wasn't any of this, freelance kind of thingy.
Right, it was like a job that he went to and maybe didn't necessarily like love it or was his passion.
Well, my dad was passionate, but obviously he was passionate, but then what happened, you know, they had me and my two brothers, and my dad made a decision to go into management. So he kind of gave up because he made the ultimate sacrifice. You know, there were options for him to move to Los Angeles and all that stuff.
So this is high school, right?
This is secondary school, which is high school.
Secondary school.
Yeah. This is, so I went
Are we
to,
gonna play spot?
I went
The
to,
injury?
where's
the injury?
Well, I mean, I'll leave it up to, I mean, look at, I mean, it's quite a few nerds in there.
I think it's front row.
Front row.
Second, I'm not gonna say it. Who's got a guess? From the left or right? Second from the left.
It's me. It's the socks. Yeah. So the whole thing is, I mean, everyone wonders why I like a uniform now. So the whole thing is we had a uniform, but you know you had to wear the blazer and you had to wear the V-neck jumper. But you know you could wear as long as the pants were gray, you could wear your own pants, you could wear your own shoes, you could do it. So you know that was that's how. So anyone who didn't like play around with their uniform was obviously didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But you know, also the thing was too, it was culturally, you know, like if you were new wave or if you were a punk or if you were a mod, you tried to work in some of your,
It's the only chance you had to identify, right? Like express yourself.
well, you tried to express, you were expressing yourself outside your uniform, but then when you had to wear the uniform, you tried to bring a little bit of that. And you couldn't cross-pollinate, you know, like if you were, you weren't allowed, you know, you were part of a tribe. So I would have described myself kind of new wavy kind of thing. New wavy. So with my, you know, so my dad was just, my parents were just phenomenal. I mean, just, you know, dad let me use his camera, you know, so this was a way, I mean, I didn't realize at the time, for me to indulge all my passions, right? So I can go to a gig and take photographs. So I went to this all-boys secondary school, private school, right? So, you know, I'm like, fucking private school, but it was a good school. I got a good, but I wasn't very studious. And I remember seeing the invoice one day for like how much this cost, and I'm like, fucking hell, you know?
And what'd you do?
I mean, I just like, it was.
Try harder or like?
No, not really. I was like, it was like 500 pounds.
Okay.
In the 80s. And that, you know, that's like 500. I mean, it just couldn't like, it just like 500 pounds, like, you know, like $500, you know, like that's like for a whole year of private school. Fuck. Wow. I just couldn't, I'm like, how do my parents, afford, you know, like, I mean, obviously, you know, like, but I couldn't get over the number. So anyway, with my dad's blessing isn't the right word, but I started to get interested. I thought like, okay, you know what?
So you were asking him about photography?
No. I was just using his stuff. Yeah.
So you said, "Hey, Dad, I'm taking this camera."
Oh yeah, because I didn't want to have anything to do with my parents as a teenager. I mean, remember, you know, especially my dad for whatever reason. Like I kind of jived with my mom a little better, but
the camera, you know, you try these other sports, you try these other things, you have interests. The camera becomes your ticket in. It's your passport, right?
So I figured out early on. So I went to a rugby school, and I figured out early on that I could. This is a picture I actually took in that probably 84, 85. So the reason it has the text, it would have shown up in the annual. We had an annual, which apparently is called a yearbook. So what the camera allowed me to do was like, now I wasn't just in the stands, but I was on the touchline. And then, you know, for being an alternative, these guys were, you know, what do you call them, jocks? Or, you know, I mean, they were very sporty.
Tough guys.
I mean, you know, but they didn't, I mean, I was, you know, they thought I was cool, I guess, because I got photos. But, you know, I was like, wow, access, you know? Like all my friends are in the stand, I'm on the sideline. But then the other thing was that I got to go to all the parties. You know, now I was part of the team. Yeah.
Did you take your camera to parties?
No. Oh, that was a non. That's probably just as well. All right. This is my mom, Terry. This is, we're very fortunate. I have this kind of creative office space at home. And when we lived in New York, we didn't have much room for anything. So it's just full of pictures and chaos and stuff. So this is a picture of my mom, Terry, I took in 1986 for her Christmas present. But I was very close with her for a couple of reasons. She was the youngest of like 9 kids, but she was just super fucking cool. We'd share cigarettes, a drink, And she used to do my hair when I went out. She used to get the hairspray out. And I mean, it was just like, who else's mom did that? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah.
All right. So in the 80s, I mean, obviously I would be known as a magazine photographer. And I mean, it's all we had. It's kind of all we had. But it was the 80s were a very, very exciting time because out of London, Ireland was obviously very small, but London was just on fire and England was on fire culturally and creatively. And all these magazines started popping up like Arena, The Face, and ID. And the thing with these magazines was that previously, let's say, you'd have a music magazine like New Music Express, or you'd have a film magazine like Premiere or something. But these magazines had everything in them. They had fashion, culture, movies, music. So they had everything, and the photography was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like it was.
So that must have been hugely eye-opening for you.
It was, yeah. It was also like how does that happen?
Yes, so out of your, reality.
Up till then, it would have been any kind of magazine, photo, or culture. Like I would have had whatever practical photography or whatever. How to take a shot with a tobacco filter or something.
So when you see these, obviously you love music, you love fashion, but you're starting to think, how do I take pictures like that?
I guess.
Yeah.
Or I just couldn't get it. You couldn't get enough. You'd run to the like Easton's every month, like just to see what was next, because it was super exciting. It was just like, and England at the time was like, although it was, it's hard to fathom that back in the day there was no cheap flights. That didn't exist. Like to get to London, you took the ferry and then got on a train, and it was a totally different world. And also, too, there was, we were exposed to a lot, obviously, but, the Thatcherism, conservatism, England was, it was quite, it was a very exciting time. All right. So what did I do after high school? Right.
Walk around and take pictures.
Well, I marched. So I went to art school for a year to do a commercial. It wasn't even a degree. It was a diploma course in commercial photography.
1 year or like a year?
Just 1 year, yeah. Okay. Just 1 year. That's me on the right with the cigarette.
Yeah.
That's 1987. I was 18.
Cool.
And I remember that because it was our first week, and the teacher was like, "Oh, there's a student march on. We should go cover that." Yeah. And it wasn't very commercial, but you see, the other thing too was like, in terms of like, and my parents too were like, "Oh, you're going to, the only jobs that they were still thinking you're going to get a job after this, right? Like you'll work for a newspaper."
Yes.
Won't you?
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't really have any interest in that.
Yeah.
So here's some pictures I took during that period. It looks like the 40s on the picture on the left.
I love that. I love that photograph. It's so.
But again, I had friends who were doing interesting things, and I'd kind of tag along, or I'd just kind of ask, or anyone who was a musician or a fashion designer, or whatever. Oh, the thing was, so I had a dark room in my bedroom, which is basically an enlarger and developing and fixing trays on a desk. So I would print at night. During the winters in Ireland, it was great because it's dark. It's
dark all the time. Yeah. Okay.
But I would close the curtain. Yeah. And then I mean, how the whole family didn't get chemical poisoning, I have no idea, because I used to throw the chemicals down the bathroom sink then, and the chemicals were like proper chemicals. Then like real lead in the none of this. Anyway, but I don't have a picture of that. I wish I did. But also, I was kind of like, I was just besotted by what other people were doing. Not necessarily, you kind of wanted to be like, I'd look in the mirror and I'd go, oh, God, how do I do that?
Yeah. Right. So you're in art school, you're taking pictures, you're meeting other photographers.
Yeah, this was the class. This was your class. This is their class. So
Brilliant.
Eugene in the middle looked like Jesus. So of course we had to do a Last Supper photo. So this is, I'm second on the left. Obviously it's very diverse. But
like Ireland,
the diversity actually was that there was a couple of mature students in the class, which was a big fucking deal because I was 18. And then there was like Tony, who was like 29, and Arthur was 31. So that was and also because they'd had jobs, and now they were, we were just like.
So you start to sort of get that.
Well, we were still
mentor
fucking
element.
around. The 18-year-olds were still fucking around, but the 29-year-olds, it was all business for them.
Right, they're paying bills, they're working.
They weren't fucking around. Yeah, this was their second. So it was a nice mix in that regard. So one of the guys. So when I left art school, I had a few jobs. I assisted a couple of photographers, and one of the mature students, actually Tony got a studio space, and he was looking for people to share it. Because back in Ireland, back then, even in New York, there was no rental studios. You had to own your own space. So, so Tony's like, hey, I'm looking for a couple of people to share. I think it's pretty cheap. Do you fancy it? And I'm like, sure. Well, parents were horrified, but I'm like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
So, then I kind of tested models and whatnot, and
Because of interest in fashion, you naturally want to be fashion photography. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And interest in photographing.
Yeah.
Beautiful women.
Yeah. So this is my first cover in 1990.
Wow. Look at you.
Look at me. Yeah, that's Sean Chrome. And
So this must have been like incredible to get a cover. No matter how small or whatever the magazine was,
that was huge in Ireland. That was big. Yeah, that wasn't small. That's You magazine. You've never heard of it? Really? So there were like 3 magazines in Ireland, You, Image, and It. And it was a very small scene, so it kind of meant that you could kind of rise through the ranks a little quicker. But so this was big time.
And then, so did the work after that, like, continue? Did it play off of this? Was it were you just riding high, shooting more covers?
Oh yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, come on.
Okay, so this is BTS.
This is the big time.
Okay,
big leagues, major leagues. Look at that.
Fucking child, look at you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was,
How old are you? 12 there?
I regressed, yeah. So, I mean, it was just, it was such a small scene, but, it was exciting, So, you're kind of a big fish in a small pond, but you've no idea, really, because you're still looking to, you're still looking abroad, but now I'm kind of in this kind of thing, and I have a little name, and it's
right.
kind of...
Did you feel kind of stuck, or you didn't know where to go? Like, how do you continue this?
I mean, what happened was I treated this photography like a job. And, you're young, you have success, and then all of a sudden other people come along. There was a couple of photographers, Irish photographers who'd worked in New York, and they came back and they fucking knew their shit, and they became very attractive then, and then they were doing cool shit. And I was like, it was a challenging time because I didn't know who I was. I was still like a 21-year-old. I didn't I think I'm good at this, and but it was challenging. I definitely made some mistakes, but again, it's the kind of thing where I didn't have a mentor, or I knew we all knew each other because it was so small. But most of us treated it like a job, so it wasn't like a lifestyle, or it wasn't particularly passionate about it.
Passion.
It wasn't passion. It was just,
right.
It's hard to describe. It was like, oh, this has just kind of happened. I've kind of landed on my feet, and then it kind of went to shit because I didn't know how to move the needle. And other people came along. I was like, because I think part of it was that I was, young and the newish kid on the block, and did a few nice pictures, and then I was hot. And then fucking, of course, someone else comes along who's hot, and then and I didn't know how to dethrone. So things got a little. So that was the end of that. No more supermodels for me. But what happened was it was I didn't know what to do. Like, again, it's hard. You have to realize that Ireland was pretty economically depressed at the time. If that makes any sense. Like, there wasn't many opportunities, and again, my parents were worried. Like, you got to get a job. You get a fucking job. So part of this was, I ended up getting a job packing cakes in a bakery. And that was fucking bleak.
It's miserable. Yeah.
It was, but it was a really great reality check in terms of just...
It probably made you realize how amazing doing photography as a job is compared to.
It did, but I also didn't know if I wanted to do photography either. So I thought I might like to be a DJ.
DJ.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I still can't play anything, but I can play some vinyl. So yeah.
So you're moving through. You kind of have this moment of like, questioning maybe, thinking what's next? How do I?
Yeah, I was kind of on the periphery
What do I
too.
do
So
next?
I would DJ like at photo parties and fashion parties. And I did some fashion shows too.
Okay.
But then me and my mate Paul, we decided that we'd manage a band because
Solid.
that's what happens next. So I took these photos. So and the guy on the right in the cap is my brother Richard. So he was like 18 at the time, and in this band called Maxwell Slider with two of his mates from school, and they were really good. They were really good. And me and my Paul went to see them. My friend Paul went to see them. We're like, you know what, geez, we should manage them. You know, gosh, fucking how hard can that be?
Can't be that hard.
It can't be that fucking hard. They've got talent. I mean, come on. So, but we thought they needed a singer. And that was the biggest mistake. We should have left them as they were.
Really?
Yeah. So we found Michelle, who became the singer, and it kind of changed. But
The band imploded.
well, no, the band didn't implode. I mean, it did all right, but then it just kind of, it's a pattern. So yeah, then the band fizzled. Yeah. So that was the end of that. But what happened is really the most amazing thing. So the three lads knew each other. They all went to school together. They didn't know Michelle. She comes in. She's the singer. And then a few years later, my brother Richard ends up dating Michelle. They have kids together. They're happily married. So it all worked out.
Nice.
In the end. So that, but obviously at the time, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
So let's get to New York. How do we get you to New York?
All right. So my mom died, liver cancer, 24th of July, 1993.
Mm-hmm.
Our world was just torn apart completely. Like just, I have two brothers. My dad was an only child. My mom came from a big family, but, she was the cool one. And, they told us, your mom's got cancer, she's going to have chemo for 6 months. And she went in and, 3 weeks later, she was dead. So that was tough. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then, so at the time there was a lot of my friends, or a lot of people were emigrating to America because things in Ireland were pretty bleak economically. So my mom had suggested
She wanted you to go to.
she wanted me to apply for the green card, which I did and I got. And I wasn't really feeling it. I gave myself 6 months. It seemed daunting.
Yeah. You knew anybody here? You knew a couple people?
I knew one guy who was working as a photo assistant in New York. Excuse me, who'd worked with me a little bit.
Yeah.
And Dara. Dara was in New York, and kind of word had filtered back, like we do the odd phone call or something. It's like, ooh, you can earn $150 a day assisting. I'm like, whoa, that's more than we earned, as a shoot.
So you go in 1994.
1994, I moved to New York City.
You called one person you know.
I called Dara, yeah.
And you get some kind of assisting job.
Yeah, I started to get assisting work. So this is me. This is an 8x10 Polaroid. Yeah, you start to build your crew and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a super exciting time. It was like I looked at this as a second opportunity to actually learn shit, because I didn't learn anything in college, in the art school. They didn't teach us anything anyway. This was real life. Like, holy shit! Like, I got to learn all these cameras and how to load all this film, and But the crazy thing was, I started working with people from all over, and people who were really passionate. Like, this was not, the crew I was used to in Dublin. This was like other level.
This is the guy you're working for.
So I hooked up with this. This fashion photographer from Germany called Klaus Wickrath, and he was a huge deal in the 80s. He shot for Versace and stuff. And
I can tell. Look at the watch over the sweater.
Yeah, well, that's it.
And the turtleneck.
Turtleneck. He's got lovely hair. He always smelled really. He always doused himself in the CK1. But
of course.
So a friend of mine had hooked me up with him one day to go work, and I went and worked, and it was intense. Like,
you started
as a
second assistant.
I'd been working for about a year before I go to Klaus's and Dustra Studios, and I go in, and Anyway, it turned out that my friend who had been working with him had had enough. He didn't tell me, so you love Klaus. He was a prick. And I don't mean that. I mean, anyone who's worked in the 80s or the 90s, like, it was just different. I mean, you were...
It was abusive.
It was...
belligerent. Yeah.
But you didn't...
But it was also normalized.
It was
like
normal.
very
Well, you didn't think it was abuse. You know, you didn't... You know, there was a lot of shouting, there was a lot of screaming. It was very intense. You worked hard. Things were thrown at you. And Klaus was very dramatic. And in the beginning, at the beginning too, you're kind of need to learn a photographer's thing. So I worked with him this one day and it went very well. He said, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, well, I have nothing. So do you want to come to Miami? Like, sure. So I showed up in LaGuardia. Didn't have
What's Miami? Is that what you said? What?
Yeah.
Where's Miami?
Well, I didn't know where Miami was. So yeah, next day I went to Miami for 2 weeks. But it was fucking hell. I mean, he made my life fucking hell. I was way out of my depth, and he just picked on me and was testing me and all the things, and it was miserable. But I got a couple of weeks in Miami, and back then everyone was shooting in Miami, and it was a whole thing. But so he had a studio, and he lived in Paris as well as New York, and he'd go back and forth. And then he went back to Paris, I went back to New York, and he had an agent at the time. And I said, like, listen, he actually left me with all his cameras. What do I fucking do with these? I'll take them. He was very trusting in that way too. I said to his agent, I'm like, there's no fucking way, man. Like, I can't do that again. And the agent was like, he liked you. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, all right. So I spent 2 years with Klaus, and we had an amazing time. It was shit.
It was hell.
It was hell.
Yes.
But it was also great. And we flew on a Concorde once. Don't have time for that story, but another time. So this was kind of what your days looked like. You'd be filling out film logs. It was all transparency at the time too, so no negatives. So you kind of had to know what you were at.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just kind of, I know time is a thing, so I'm just going to kind of move through. But so I left Klaus because he wouldn't pay me, and that was like fucking like, dude, come on, dude. So one of his big clients was Nautica. And when I left Klaus, they approached me because they'd kind of had enough of them too. And my first big break.
This is what you want as an assistant. Right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
waiting for that.
Well, the irony, I think we shot this in Bermuda, and the model on that Polaroid that's attached to the film
same
sheet
guy.
is the same guy. Yeah.
So after they fired Klaus and hired you, you just called this guy and said, hey, let's go do a shoot.
Well, they put it all together. I just showed up. But the thing is, they just wanted me to do what he would. I was much cheaper too, but I was, but it was terrific.
So 2 years of hell, you get an amazing break.
Yeah.
So getting this huge break, a huge client on your own that you're shooting, is that was the 2 years of hell worth it? Was that the best thing that came out of that, period of abuse and...
Well, no. So the person in the center of this photograph is the best thing that ever came out of.
Oh, who's that?
This is Sleeping Beauty. This is my wife, Zia. So I was on a shoot in New York with Klaus before I left, and there was a producer, a guy called Richard, who was also a photographer. He's producing the shoot, and it was a Friday. And at the end of the shoot, we said, let's go for a drink. And we went for a drink, and we ended up in Union Square. There used to be the bar there. It was one of the few outdoor bars. And we're sitting down having a drink, and then Richard spots Zia, who was his ex-girlfriend, and he goes over and starts chatting. And anyway, long story short, Zia and I have been together ever since.
Look at that. It was worth it.
But Zia's an amazing human, super talented. She's in fashion, was in fashion, and has a great eye. And the thing too was, like, her best friend, who was also a roommate, was a stylist. So, we kind of moved in the same circles, but we didn't. So it was kind of, when I said I'm a photo assistant, she knew exactly what that was.
Into it. Yeah.
So around this time, I started to shoot a little bit, and I was doing some fashion story for Image magazine, which is one of the other huge Irish magazines. I shot it in Long Island, and I never forget, I came back, adrenaline was like pumping, and it's all great. And then Zia's like, we just started dating. She's like, well, can I see the Polaroids? I'm like, sure. And I show her the Polaroids, and she says, she didn't say they were shit, but they were shit. But she said, this is pretty bad. I'm like, fuck. Wow. I was gutted, absolutely, because I wanted her, of course, to love it, and I was devastated. And of course, in that scenario you're trying to like justify, like, no, but it's good, isn't it? It's good. Look at this. This is great.
Of course.
So
You know what I went through to get this photo?
yeah,
Like, that doesn't
exactly.
fucking
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares?
Look how great
Yeah.
this is. So I was printing my own stuff in the darkroom at that time, and a couple of days later I was printing it up on. And you know what? I went, you know what? This is shit.
She was right.
This is shit. She was right. She's a keeper. But
Nice.
but you know, it's wonderful to have someone like you can really trust, like to actually be
is,
really.
yeah.
And it's still, you know, it's hard because you know you want, and you know, but I value that. I mean, but it's ongoing. Like she won't like some things I do still, but you know, anyway. So the other great thing about Klaus was that there's actually I brought
Hey,
props.
We got souvenirs.
So point and shoot photography was becoming a thing, just like it is again, because life goes
yeah, I
full
think
circle.
you can buy that camera on eBay for like $5,000.
Oh yeah,
right
yeah,
now,
it's
probably.
crazy. So the great thing about Klaus was, and also that I learned to make the most of every opportunity. So we used to wear these vests. This is my friend Kevin on the left, and I'd bring the point and shoot with me. So when we were traveling, like I could always just snap
Yeah.
away, and it never
'Cause you're in
bothered
these
me.
amazing locations with all these
Yeah, it was
people.
just too. It was just too good to. So that these were cross processed.
You're building a portfolio.
Exactly. I got my
Trying to
first
find your
portfolio.
look, your vision, your
Yeah,
style.
just
Yeah.
you know, and the point and shoot was amazing, and you know, and I could, you know, I'd take Klaus's film and I'd put it on his bill, and you know, all that sort of thing. Yeah, no, it was but it's the least, you know, the least I deserve. But I am very grateful for that, and you know, although it was hard, we had a lot of good times. He was very charismatic and very passionate, you know, and that really was something. You're like, yeah, this is fucking next level. So around that time, I started printing a lot in the darkroom. There's a communal darkroom in New York.
What am I looking at here? What is this? Looks like a wall.
This is a wall. So this would have been, those are boxes of paper, color paper. This is a viewing wall. So you had your own little darkroom. You exposed your negative onto paper. You put your paper in the machine, came out the machine, and then you would put it on the viewing board, which was daylight balanced to try and judge your color. So the wonderful thing about print space was that at any one time, there'd be lots of other photographers in there. And you'd see their work on the walls, and that's how I got to know it. So this was at like.
So who else was working there at the time?
It would have been Platon, Philip Lorca de Corsia, Gillian Laub, Brian Fink. I mean, it was a lot of young, Martin Scholler, a lot of young photographers, but also some real stars. So you kind of get to see what what photographers are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first promo.
So then
card.
up to your, seeing all that, being around it, up to your game a little bit?
Well, I was kind of stuck in my groove, you know.
Okay.
So I again wanted to be a fashion photographer. At that time, you could kind of do
Still
a bit
going
of
all
everything.
fashion, yeah.
But I liked the whole story thing. I think that was my, it was like how to tell a story. I always had trouble when it's someone against a white background in the studio. I just like, what's the reason? Why are we here? So there was an Italian magazine called Io Donna at the time, which gave young photographers a couple of dresses and said, hey, go take a photo. So that's what we did. And I did this one photo, and then it led to all sorts of other photos. So they became a super client. So that's a real fur coat. Sorry, vegans. That's a real monkey.
Jesus, there's a lot happening in this photograph.
That's a real helicopter, obviously.
2001. This is
Santa Monica Airport in Los Angeles. It's a live runway. The monkey does not have any sort of a leash on it.
Oh my God.
This was also for
you
Donna.
thinking?
Zia hates this one, by the way, too. But the crazy thing was like it was like advertorial, like the Italian fashion houses paid to be paid to be part of the editorial. So you got clothes, but they were kind of shit clothes. It wasn't Gucci or Versace or anything.
so do whatever you want. Just use the clothes, kind of.
Well, there was this. You had to have there was an amazing creative director who she lived in New York, Italian, and she came up with these crazy ideas. But for me, this was like I got to go to LA and shoot a 20-page fashion story. Like what the fuck, Okay, it's not Italian Vogue, it's not Stephen Meisel, but you're like, yeah, fucking, this is this is great. But again, with these things, it's like, so September 11, 2001 happens, and that was like a major kind of turning point in publishing. All of a sudden, budgets, people didn't know what was going to happen. So budgets got slashed, magazines closed, and there was less opportunities for young photographers. And I'd also kind of realized that I like, again, like, Io Donna went away, I've been shooting for Mademoiselle, that close, and it was like, I'm not that good. I'm okay, I'm mediocre, but where does this go? And again, having been in print space, I'm seeing what other people are doing for personal work. What I'm seeing is I'm seeing them do a project, I'm seeing them print that project, then I'm seeing them promote that project, and then the magazines are asking them to shoot.
Hiring for that work.
For that work,
It must have
exactly.
been a major epiphany.
It was, so I kind of had to figure out
How can I do that?
How can I do that?
I want to get hired to shoot the things that I want to shoot, right? The style that I want to
Yeah,
shoot.
I mean, I also knew the fashion thing was over for me. Again, I would never be Steve Meisel. It was.
Well, it seems very prescient of you to actually realize that, to make that call and not waste the next
maybe
many years.
Zia probably told me.
We can give her the credit. That's okay.
Better. So what am I going to do? Well, we went back to Ireland on vacation, and we went to this small town where
You're like, I'm going to do a project.
I'm going to do a project.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I kind of knew that I wanted to shoot environmental portraits. I wanted them to be lit, because I always felt magazines too, pictures, like they needed help off the page because they weren't backlit by a screen. In my case.
But this is a big departure for you. You're going and finding regular people, right? And photographing them where they are, but you're incorporating that sort of high color, bright color, the flash, all those elements from the glossy magazine pages. But it's like a blend of kind of documentary.
Yeah, there was a shift then too. So this would have been 2002, 2003, where after the 9/11, then there was a lot of magazines like Esquire and GQ that actually did these long form stories that needed environmental portraits, which involved a portrait or maybe a landscape. And I was like, I was kind of into that. I was kind of intrigued by that. So this was the project that I did. It was called Made in Ireland.
It's so good. I love it. You're still shooting film.
I'm shooting film, yeah, real film.
And you're shooting on a Hasselblad?
Hasselblad, yeah, Hasselblad.
Okay.
So the other pictures, some of the fashion pictures I showed, there wasn't many. I had so many styles in me, having worked with so many different people. It took me a long time to kind of work them out of me. So I would just rent whatever camera I felt was right for the job, or use whatever film it. So I did not have a signature style. What I really noticed then was people with a signature style were having success.
Working. Getting hired.
But not where they working. They were working for what they did. Yeah. But it had to be an authentic thing. It had to be. So this came to me, as all good ideas do. It just kind of, like, okay, I'm going to get back to the square. I don't have to choose vertical, horizontal. I want to light it. The other thing that was important to me was that I wanted to be able to do this work on my own if I needed to, because the other jobs I did were always with assistants, and it was like a ton of gear and all sorts of things. So this was a small village in Ireland called Coothall. My dad had a riverboat there, so I went for a week and took some photos. And who's that?
That would be Stuart.
That'd be Stuart, yeah. And look at that. You'll have to excuse the rendering and the color and the slides, because it doesn't really look like that. But on this, but. So it's my dad so that's his little riverboat on the left.
Right, you grew up on a boat with him doing.
Well, we went here. Well, actually, we went here as kids.
Right.
So
same fucking place. Wow.
So this is exactly the same place. Same shorty shorts. I think my brother has my shorts.
Yeah, look at Richard.
I think so. Yeah. Because hand-me-downs were a thing. It was definitely a thing. Whoops. So I took this picture of my dad at the time, right? But I didn't know, and I didn't remember that this picture existed.
You found it later on.
I found it much
That's
later
really awesome.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me and my brother. And this is like, so you asked this kid on the right, you asked me, like, what are you fucking gonna do with your life,
Yeah.
Like this kid couldn't, I'm fishing, right? This kid couldn't imagine, that
live in New York City.
He'd live in New York City.
Yeah.
He'd be married to Zia.
That's
he'd
crazy.
be, like there's no fucking way,
That's why life's incredible, isn't it? It's like, it's amazing. And
So-
then you,
this is my most famous picture. It's all downhill from there. So I included the contact sheet so you can see. The rolls of 12 at the time. So last morning I go out. It's foggy. There's no people around. This cow throws its head over the wall, and the reason it is the way it is because I have a little flash. Obviously, I'm using the flash, treating the cow as if it was a human. and we kind of had this kind of thing, and but behind it was all misty and foggy, and with the exposure and the thing, it looked like a seamless. But 10 minutes later, the sun came up, and that was gone. It was like totally gone. So I didn't really think much of that picture, just because.
Well,
It's a
one,
picture of a cow.
it also, again, like this is film, so you're shooting the film. Guess what? You don't. I mean, you know the moment you took it, but you're not seeing that for. I mean,
Weeks, couple
until you
weeks,
go back to New
yeah.
York City.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
And then I would get the negatives processed, and then I would do the contact sheets to save money. So what again, being around my peers, I realized that I needed to put this into a portfolio and to kind of brand it. And I actually have it here tonight. If anyone would like to look at it afterwards, it's a bit heavy. We should put it on the table. So yeah, I put it in a portfolio. But
you put this body of work, this new body of work,
because
were
I'd
you
seen
really excited about it? Were you really?
I included it with all my other portfolios. I had a music portfolio, and a fashion portfolio, and a portrait portfolio. So it's like, because again, it was like thinking, even though I'd seen people have success, I thought I was still, I thought I could do it all.
Okay.
And that makes any sense. But then there was a pivotal moment.
Pivotal moment. Yeah, and here it is.
And I have this.
So this is,
What is this, Ray?
yeah, this is Photo District News. This was the industry.
This is 2003, by the way.
During this time, and it was amazing. And if you were a photographer, you read this every month. And what they did was, see, it says PDN's 30 every year. You'd have to be nominated, and then they would choose.
Not that year.
They changed the rules from the year. But
No. They changed the after.
They would choose the best rising. They called the rising 30
Emerging
photographers. It was a really big deal.
In the beginning, it was
Not only did Andrew get
30 under 30. In the beginning, it was 30 under 30.
30
and
under
then
30
it
years
became
of
much
age.
more difficult. But like, I didn't have a website at
You got
this
the
stage.
cover.
So what happened was, like, I didn't have a website. So, but everyone in the industry, magazines, commercial, like, this was a big deal every year, because that's how they found new talent.
All the editors read it. The editors would nominate you sometimes, like often. So this is a really big deal.
And there was also really like some amazing, Lauren Fleischman.
It would have been the best of the best that year. Yeah. So you are now.
Well, for me, it was like the irony. So this is the truth, is that I was at Print Space one day. Again, it's great in these communal spaces, that you get talking, get to know people. And there was a photographer called Michelle Padone, and she told me, "Oh, you know what? You should enter PDN 30." I'm like, "Okay, how do you do that?" I didn't know. She said, "Well, you just submit," which is why it was a little different. So I was like, "When's the closing date?" And she goes, "Tomorrow." So I'm like, "Cool."
What do I have?
So I ran home to Zia. You remember, we're on Greenwich Street. I went, "All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to enter all my shit. I'm just going to blow them away."
What'd she say?
She says, "No." She says, "You know what?"
Terrible idea.
She's terrible idea.
Yeah.
She was like, "You know what you do? You just enter this."
That's right. The
So,
new thing.
Just
the thing
one
that's-
thing,
yeah.
one thing that you're, and that's what I did.
I mean, that must have been a huge sign. You go and you take a chance doing something different, a personal project, and then you get recognized for it. That had to be empowering.
It was empowering because everything was so much slower in a way. So they told me, so they tell you you've been selected, and it's very fucking exciting. And then, because you have to send them prints then, so they can scan it and print it. But also, so I knew I was going to be in it 3 months before it was published. And then with Zia too, we kind of knew this was a huge break, and we were like, "All right, you know what? You need to be ready for when this. You can't tell anyone,
awesome.
but you be ready." So I made these little boxes with postcards in them.
Yep.
And we had these ready to go. Zia helped with all shrink wrap.
And you were sending them to editors afterwards.
Once it dropped, they were ready to go. And it was a little postcard, and I'd write a little note to whoever. And
Also something that photographers used to do.
yeah. So
All of us.
and then things legitimately took off again. Over the years, and magazines took off again. It was like all of a sudden there was 2011 was behind us. 2001.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a culling. Things changed, but then and then things kind of got going again. But it was different, obviously, for me this time.
Okay.
And then it was just like, yeah.
And all of this is sort of because of that. It's sort of
The other thing too is, as a photographer, I mean, I'm not precious about the final image. I love it when the art director and the creative director put type all over the photo and make it. I mean, it's all, again, it's what I grew up with. You know, I'm excited to see, like, especially back then, like you'd run to the newsstand to see it. You know, I mean, like, I had no idea what they were going to do with it, and you know, sometimes they didn't do such a great job, but it was just really important for me for the picture to be a part of the. I was only a part of it. You know. So yeah, so that was that. All right, so
we're in like what 2005, 6-ish, right?
Yes.
I mean, there's probably a date on that web page, but does anyone remember the blog, the sartorial list? Nobody remembers.
So there was a
at this point in the decade, photo blogs became huge, and every outlet had one, every magazine had one, every person began to have their own. It became this way to, this is pre-iPhone, pre-any Instagram, right? But you could, as a photographer.
Well, this is Sterlist that started in 2005. So the long story short is a friend of Zia's, who became a friend of mine, Scott Schumann, who was worked in fashion, and then he became a stay-at-home dad. He was about to have a baby. And we bought him his first camera, which was an Olympus Mu. And he started taking pictures of the kid and kids. And then he was one of the first bloggers, fashion bloggers.
Huge.
Yeah. And he would go out in the streets of New York and just, started off very simply just recording street fashion and posting. And again, this was like, wow, this is interesting. I mean, I'm always interested in it. It's not just the photos, it's like how to promote.
It's a different medium.
This is a new medium. How do I get involved? Mm-hmm. So I started a blog.
So you said this guy had a really cool blog with a really cool name.
Yeah, I'm going to make one with a I'm going to have a cool name too.
No one
cool
gets.
Name. Yeah, but come on. There's an explanation there.
Jackanory?
Yeah. What's the story, What's the story, right?
I don't know how to answer that.
Come on, what's your story, man? Anyway, what's the Jackanory is a slang for what's the story. So I thought, like all good ideas, they just kind of come to you. Like, I'm going to have a blog, but you know what? It'll be really fucking pretentious if it's all about me.
Of course.
So I'm going to do it all about me, but other people too. So it just kind of became my magazine.
Cool.
So, it was primarily to kind of promote the next project I'd done.
So it didn't really just become about you.
No, it was never about me. But it was a really exciting time because it was something new. There was no Facebook, no Instagram. A lot of photographers had blogs. I was one of the first. It just so happened to be, not that, but and I would get invited to contribute, and I got to kind of create my own content. But one of the things I did when I started to travel was I had the follow-up to Made in Ireland was I photographed all my hotel rooms because I knew I'd be traveling, and the view from the window. So this is Switzerland. This is Miami.
Yeah.
Detroit, the airport. You can tell how excited I was by this, right?
For something different, yeah.
Oh, yeah, airport, yeah. And then this is Qatar. This is Yellowknife. This is Tokyo. This is Shanghai.
Who really know you know the real reason you did this is because you just never stopped taking pictures. So you have to be photographing everything.
Well, you go through phases, but
yeah.
So so around that time you could self-publishing became a thing, Blurb and whatnot.
Blurb.
So I published a book. Has anyone stayed in a hotel this week? Hand up. Oh, there you go, sir. This is for you.
Hey, we got a winner.
Maybe you can show. This is a first edition, the original cover.
And an autograph.
So
cool. So the blog was kind of a way of promoting your work, but also connecting with other photographers.
Exactly. Yeah. And just so this is the
actual book. Yeah.
Well, this is the big one. So when it came through the printing press at Blurb, they kind of liked it, and they're like, "Ooh, we're going to print you a big one." But again, ultimately, I was using this as a promotion. And in Photo District News, they had a self-promotion contest, I was like, yeah.
And you won that too.
And I won that too, yeah. Winner. Yeah, so much winning.
Winning.
Winning. It's all about winning. It's all about winning.
What else is there? Nothing else.
Loser.
Losing.
Losing.
Right.
Well, you can't lose. Yeah, losers and winners. No in between. All right. So we're skipping along. My first Instagram post was.
Hold on. Who can name the app on the iPhone that this picture was taken with? Nope. Close. Someone said it. Hipstamatic. If you were not taking pictures on your iPhone with this app in 2007, 8, 9, then you were not doing it.
So
You were not doing it right.
this was my first post. Can anyone know what their first post was? Can they remember what their first post was?
Yeah, I do.
Was it any good? I mean, this was
Mine
shit,
is a
obviously.
photograph of my friend Matt Miller standing in a shower.
Okay. So you have his clothes on?
He does have his clothes on.
Oh,
thankfully.
wow.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what happened to the blog? I killed it.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. It's dead. I did realize preparing for this talk that some of it still lives on Tumblr.
Okay. But we're just having a reserve.
But all the good stuff is dead. And it just, when it moved over from the server or whatever, it didn't transfer. Yeah. But I'm actually good with that because it was a period of time and it was, and not everything can last forever. In the end, it kind of became the content you're trying to, it wasn't coming easy,
Exactly.
So it's like, fuck it.
So you moved on.
So, and then Instagram and Facebook came, which kind of helped kill it anyway.
True.
So,
What's that?
I hope not. Anyway, all right, who we got here?
This would be Stuart.
This would be Stuart. So this is Stuart on the left. This is Stuart, came to visit us. We're living in New York, in the East Village. It's August 2016. I pick him up at the airport. We get in the car, and he puts these sunglasses on. And I'm like, whoa.
He puts on his Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, whatever else sunglasses.
And I'm like, whoa. So I actually, this is the picture. I posted this picture. As you can see, it's probably got a hipstamatic filter on it. I posted this picture onto my feed, and everyone's like, whoa, look at your dad. He's fucking cool. I'm like, whoa, yep, he's fucking cool. So, again, I photographed my dad a few times over the years, obviously, and, we'd become a lot closer since my mom had died, and obviously we don't have enough time to get into everything, but, so he would come visit us, and, but he was diabetic and he had some health problems, but I never wanted to take those pictures. A lot of photographers have taken pictures of their parents or their families. But I always find, with all the good ideas, there's just something that just like clicks, right? So in this instance, I knew it was the glass. It was the glass. So the next day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to bring the camera, not the phone, and let's just see what happens. So we went downtown New York to World Trade Center, and and he has the glasses on, right?
This becomes your next series.
But then no glasses. Okay. So we went to the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, and
something's not right.
He didn't want to wear the glasses. Yeah. I'm like, you gotta wear the glasses. He said, no, I'm not wearing the glasses. I said, but you have to. I mean, can you imagine how cool this picture would have been with the glasses?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I can see it.
So what happened was I started to post the pictures to my daily feed on Instagram, and people started to react. My 400 followers, like, fuck, this is kind of cool. But not only did they react, they reacted in a way like that my dad, like all of a sudden my dad was getting messages from family in Ireland, like, fuck, look at you. What the fuck? Like, who are you?
Look at you, Stuart.
Look at you,
New
Stuart.
York City.
So we figured it, so between the two of us, we
got something here. We got something.
We got something. We're onto something. And it became our thing. And we had these plans, to go. We were going to visit Zia's family up in Rochester. And we had plans and we had things to do, but now we had this thing together. And because I was posting every day and getting a reaction, it just started to become a thing.
Yeah, and you photographed in that style.
In the same style. I mean, of course, and I'm thinking of this is, this is what I love to do. And, so we went to Kodak in Rochester, which my dad was obviously, big Kodak fan. Here he is with George Eastman. Yep. Here he is in his infamous crouch.
Infamous.
And then, we had some fun with it, again, creative.
Brilliant.
Then we went to Niagara Falls.
Love it.
We went to Canada. We went to the movies. He's wearing the glasses inside now, you see? Pulled some pints. Went to the U.S. Open.
Got to do it. You got to go to the U.S. Open.
The money.
Yep, on the Jumbotron.
Went canoeing. My dad can't swim either, by the way. Like, this was at a friend's house.
Risky.
And he knew, like, you're gonna want to do the canoe, aren't you? I went, yeah, I'm gonna want to do the canoe. But there's a friend of ours is just standing in the water, just like out of shot. But, so the other wonderful thing is then all my photographer friends were like, your dad's fucking cool, like, can I take his photograph? Yeah. So we went to the Condé Nast Studios in One World Trade.
Probably also maybe a little envious too that you had this thing to share with your father. That that's really
a lot of. I mean, it is very touching because obviously a lot of people reached out and said that they wish that they had this.
They had that with their parents.
Yeah.
Amazing
for sure. See, the other crazy thing too is that my dad used to take me on film sets back when I was a kid, and now it's like a full circle of life moment. I'm taking him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow. So this is a dear friend of mine, Joe Pugliese. Joe is like one of the top like portrait celebrity photographers. Like if you don't know his work, just get on it. He's like just super fucking cool.
Also a cyclist.
Also a cyclist. Yeah. What's with that? What's with photographers and cyclists? So here's Joe taking my picture of my dad, and then we got these amazing photographs from Joe.
Together. Yeah, wow, beautiful. The glasses.
And it's just, it's like we're stylistically, we're so different, but it was just, but this is, these are just, these are real pictures. I mean, this thing, but these, now look at these. Yeah. So, we had an amazing time. And my dad went home, he was rejuvenated. He was like a new person. He'd had this, he'd had this adventure. So this is Christmas 2016. So now the glasses have become a thing, right? So he keeps the glasses in the little case. Special case. Yeah, no one can touch them. And it's Christmas, and we just had to. But so then we're like, how do we do? So I call this project Dadcation. So we're like, how do we do Dadcation 2?
You came to New York City. You had a great time, made amazing photographs. He has to go home, and now you're thinking about the next one.
We're thinking about the next one. What are we going to do? Yeah. So after a life in film and television, my dad had never been to Los Angeles. So I was like, you know what?
That's awesome. Yeah.
We're going to LA.
Yeah.
So the next year we went to LA. And we had a client of mine, AARP. If you're of a certain age, you'll understand, you know what they are, American Association for Retired People. I pitched them this, and they said, hey, we'll give you a little bit of money if you post to our Instagram every day, which was super helpful. But now we had a client, which kind of, it's kind of tricky. Yeah. So here we are, kind of day one proper, Santa Monica Beach. Dad always had his camera. He's got the bucket hat, but we were really struggling. Like we have the hit album, right? Yeah. How many, if you think about it, in any sort of how many, like any sort of longevity, any sort of career with longevity, like how many one-hit wonders have there been? Like we had the hit album. Like how do you fucking do the follow-up? So we're on Santa Monica Pier, and we're like, and Dad was great too, because he was like, are we, like, someone's giving us a little bit of money. Are we doing enough? Like, is this? Because again, he's concerned. He's worried. So we're walking by this hat stand, and I go, you know what? We need a new hat. The bucket hat is tired. It's fucking tired. It was very New York. We're Hollywood now. We need a fucking new hat.
Yeah.
And
by the way, give me that selfie stick too.
And then we were just off to the races, kind of thing. It just kind of, and of course, who's gonna say no? No one says no.
Right.
Quentin Tarantino couldn't say no.
Couldn't do it.
E.T. couldn't say no. There's just no no's. So one of the things we did was we went. I'd shot at Paramount Studios on the lot before in one of the sound stages, and it's just such a iconic Los Angeles stage. Like it just feels like it's from the 30s, the 40s. It's just wonderful. So I booked a tour, but it was a group tour. So I asked everyone to get out of the way, and they played along for like 2 frames. On the Paramount lot, there's a huge pool they used to do for water scenes. So it's a car park, but it's surrounded by a wall, and they drive the cars out, and then they flood it. They don't do it so much these days, but this one I was really excited about. And my only regret about this picture is that I didn't back my dad up a little bit, so his head is like kind of in that area
Separation, yeah.
But
It's still really beautiful.
But you can't imagine, like everyone's like, it's lunchtime. Like, just give us a second. Just give us a second. So you got to exit through the prop shop.
Yep.
Then we did a little Coons. And what this is at it's the Broad, I would say the Broad Museum. If it's like when I'm taking my dad's photo, like other people are like, oh, that's kind of, can I take a photo of him? Like kind of, because he also seemed to wear the right thing at the right time. Yeah. So ironically, Joe Pugliese, who you met previously, is a Los Angeles-based photographer, and he was in the Hollywood Hills shooting for People magazine's American's Sexiest Man Alive in 2017, who happened to be Blake Shelton.
Okay.
Not that my dad knew who Blake Shelton was. So Joe said, why don't you guys come up after, come up.
That's
and
awesome.
so we did it again, but this time in the Hollywood Hills.
Cool.
So I took pictures of Joe, taking pictures of my dad, and then Joe takes these amazing fucking pictures of my dad. You're like, fucking hell.
Wow.
So this is one of my favorites. This was actually on the way up to Joe's, and we were a bit early, so the location, like, what is this? It's like, so there's a house in behind there. It must be that's the G-Wagon, obviously, that we rented for the photo.
Yeah, of course.
And again, my dad had this uncanny knack of wearing the right thing, And then
had he in that last photo not been wearing all white,
it wouldn't have worked.
Something dark, he would have completely blended in.
Yeah, would not work. That's something green, forget.
Yeah.
So then we went on a road trip to Palm Springs, stayed at the Ace.
Sure did.
We sure did.
Look at that.
Did a DJ set. Yo. We ended up in Las Vegas, as you do.
Story for next time.
But you know what? This was more challenging actually because in a weird way we should never have gone, because in the hotel you've got to walk 10 miles to get to your room, and my dad wasn't great. It was hot as fuck, and it's just like it wasn't. So that was Dedication 2. Yeah,
love it. So, Dad flies back to Ireland.
Oh, sorry. He's gone back. Yeah, I get on with life.
You get on with life.
Yeah.
Shooting back in New York City.
Yep.
Shooting. What are you shooting?
I started to shoot a kind of a mix of obviously more magazine work, commercial work, key art work, and this is kind of inside baseball, I guess. With pictures like these, obviously by the time they get to me, I'm the executor.
You're walking on, and all of this has been decided,
more or less. Yeah. So I'm responsible for the performance, the lighting, and
showing up with the crew,
making it happen.
Several, like 4 or 5 people for something like this.
Yeah. Right? So in this particular case, we were actually at a soundstage in New York, and they were shooting the TV spots. So there's a whole other. There's me and my crew, and then there's 10 other. There's 200 other people. So I'm like, well, why do we? How can we have some fun with this? So I like to play dress up. So I dressed my crew up. This was the first time I think we did it, and we all wore matching shirts and uniforms. See?
Yep.
And in a homage to the we had little flamingos on our thing. So with this was like, there's ways you can be creative without necessarily, I like to, my mind, wanders to like, how can I make this special? How can I make an experience? How can I do more? How can I do more?
Classic overachiever.
Thank you.
What more can I do?
What more can I do? The wonderful thing about this is that, when we showed up on set, we did a pre-light day where we weren't wearing these shirts, and we show up the next day, and the TV guys are like, they see the one guy, and they're like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah. And then, Hank Azaria shows up, and he's introduced, and he goes, and you're like,
it's way cooler than just having a T-shirt with like crew on the back.
Oh, yeah. And then you have to do a cool, crew shot.
Yeah.
This was a lifestyle shoot I did for Carnival Cruises. Same thing. I bought the crew a T-shirt for every day, and then it became a thing because with the client, they're like, "What are they going to wear today?" And, you know, this is wearing Philadelphia Eagles Hawaiian shirts for the ESPN body issue.
Nice.
So as a Giants fan, I let the players know that this is for me, this was like, I'm really, you know, wearing this Eagles shirt.
Cool.
So we shot that in the players' car park next to Lincoln Financial Field, and the I-95 actually runs right above it. So if anyone had got a puncture or anything, they would have been able to look in and have a look. Yeah. So this is Hot Ones. This was actually shot here in Atlanta. December.
Still in New York City.
Still based in New York City.
We're getting some work. Started to get some work down here.
I got some work down here.
Okay.
Yeah. And
This looks really fun, by the way. Just to shoot this, it looks really fun.
This was great. This was super fun. This is, you know, again, the challenge is coming up with the lighting and getting the performance, and then it ended up on billboards. I mean, I always love seeing things. It's it's a serious thrill just to be like,
See something big.
something big, and bigger. You know, so it's
bigger and bigger.
So this on the left is the Holland Tunnel. On the right is outside.
That is so cool.
It was Turner. Now it's now they're Warner Discovery.
And so this is like 2019, 2018?
This is so when did I do this? Let me see if I have a note. Oh wait, so it's 2020 actually. So this came out in February 2020.
Okay.
And at that time, so Zia was working she was running the design office for Oshkosh B'gosh in New York, who were owned by Carter's, who were based here in Buckhead.
Right, yeah.
And she's traveling down here a lot, like a lot. Okay. And that's the reason why I have this photograph of the billboard down here, because we were coming down here and I was starting to spend a little time down here. And then an opportunity opened up for us to move down here. And, you know, I felt my career had stagnated a little. I think it was time for, you know, it was a great, wonderful opportunity for Zia. We're like, you know what, maybe let's try something. I mean, you know, we don't have anything to lose. Yeah. So
what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
I'll tell you.
You tell me, Ray. What went wrong?
No,
please.
I don't even want to say the word.
So we decided we were going to move pre-COVID, and Zia came down, was coming back and forth, and I drove down with the last of our stuff and arrived here March 17, 2020.
Yeah, that.
And we moved into a tower in Buckhead, and we knew nobody. Like we genuinely knew nobody. I mean, I didn't know you or Spencer or Bobby or anybody, and it was pretty bleak, to say the least.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I think for a lot of us too, it's hard to. That was only 5 years ago. It's hard to, like, you know, I mean, we thought the world was over. Mm-hmm. And certainly for us, it was challenging because we're watching our friends in New York and family in New York and my family in Ireland, and it's not the same as here. And you're like, you know, we're missing. Grateful to be here and to be safer, but at the same time, it's like you kind of want to be with your community and your people. Yeah. So, you know, I definitely thought, you know, in the deep dark days that photo was over for me because there was no work. You know, as a lot of us would have, and being a freelancer, there was nothing, and I wasn't feeling particularly inspired to do anything either because being out in the world was kind of my, you know, that's how you kind of get ideas, how you meet people, how you see things. So we lived right across from Lenox Square.
Excellent location,
which would have been excellent if there hadn't been any COVID, because we would have hopped on the train and gone to New York and all the things. So these were a few pictures I'd taken, but I was really struggling just to, you know, we had no human contact with anybody. Mm-hmm. So one of the wonderful things to come out of COVID, this is, if you remember the picture that I showed of the palm trees, dedication to. So in Ireland, COVID was like serious fucking lockdown. Yeah. Like serious, like no fucking around. And my dad was also very immune compromised, so he spent a lot of time with his partner. And you know, part of the thing. So what happened then was there was a guy who got in touch, or I can't even remember exactly what, but there's all these poster board sites over Dublin where they would advertise concerts and art shows and stuff. But of course, it's COVID, so there's nothing happening. So this guy, Anthony, decided, he was a DJ promoter. He's like, you know what I'll do? I'm going to put some I'm going to put public art. I'm going to put photographs up, and so that people have somewhere to go, because you can just go outside. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he picked one of my pictures, and I was really honored by that. And then they were plastered all over Dublin. And this is a picture of my dad with you know, I think my one regret is that, you know, I wasn't able to be there just to see this. I mean, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID.
Full circle moment, though.
Well, it was like, you know, it was just kind of magic in amongst all the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, this was like, and it was such a public project, you know, just for people.
Yeah.
You know, which was great. But unfortunately, the next time I saw my dad was May 10th, 2021. So I hadn't seen him in almost 2 years. He'd been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it took a pretty drastic turn. So the only reason I was able to be there was because I had the second vaccination. I literally, like, there was 2 people on the plane going from New York to, I mean, it was such a different world. I couldn't, like, it was wild. Zia joined me 2 days later, and my dad died May the 12th, 2021.
2 days later.
2 days later, yeah. Literally, Zia got in that morning, and he passed away that afternoon. So why do I show this picture? Well, you know, like so that's obviously me. I have my phone with me, and I'm like, I felt compelled to take this picture. I needed to take this picture, but also because the camera or the phone it's a safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's like,
yeah.
it's, you know, I use it as a safety blanket. You know, I mean, again, you know, I was a very shy child. My mother told me, like, if you're going to be a photographer, you're going to fucking talk to people. You know, like, you do? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, ooh.
Why?
Why? Do I have a camera?
Yeah.
But, you know, this is, you know, it was, I just felt, and, you know, Dad's cool. You know, like, there's no, I don't have to. It's like a thing. And, yeah, it breaks my heart. But, you know, we just to be able to be there with him, to be able to say what was needed to be said.
What a gift. Unbelievable.
You know, especially during that time. I just can't imagine what it was like for people not to be in the room when people were, if you're doing it on a phone or you know, a Zoom or something. So this is the funeral a few days later. So this is the church we went to as kids. I'm not a, you know, I don't practice, but we went here. It's a huge church. My mom's funeral was in this church. It's the same priest that did my mom's funeral. But you'd get 1,000 people in here, no problem. But at that time, only 30 people were allowed, and you had to invite the 30, and the 30 included family members.
Wow.
So it was like a wedding. You had to go call people, like, are you definitely going to show up? Because if you don't, you know,
30 spots.
We can, it's 30 spots. So my dad loved a good funeral because it was a way for people to get together and to meet with all friends, and we couldn't do anything. So when my dad was dying, my brothers and I were talking with my dad in his final days, and he's like, you know, if you ever get around to doing a book, that'd be great. And we said, you know, of him or pictures, whatever, for his grandkids. And he was like, Dad, what would you call it? And he said, I'd call it Best Seat in the House. Oh. Because again, the cameraman always has the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
So the picture on the screen there is the picture of us at the movies with my dad on the thing, but it didn't feel right. We did a little, you know, what do you call it? Like a little missive, a little book, you know, mass book, I guess you say, with the, you know, the service details in it. You know, you give out at the funeral, at the mass, and this is what we did. So we used Joe's pictures, which really just felt, you know, like super. It just felt right, you know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I cropped myself out, obviously.
Yeah.
So the other thing was that, you know, now I was out in this world again, and genuinely I believe, you know, that, you know, my dad passed over, you know, his gift of creativity to me, and all of a sudden, you know, I was feeling energized again, and I was seeing things, and I was thinking about projects and whatnot, and you know, so I'm back in Atlanta, and what do we, you know, this is a velodrome, by the way. This is it.
The one I was telling you about.
So when we were here in 2019, I was in East Point, and I like drove past this velodrome. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, look at this place. What is that?
Yeah.
I knew what it was, obviously, because I'm a cyclist.
But you hadn't heard about it. You had no idea.
No idea.
You would never expect it to be buried in this neighborhood.
And I'm driving by, and I'm like, what the fuck is this place? Plus, it looks run down. I'm like, what the fuck? it was November. So it's actually in a public park. So the gate was open. So I went over and I took these photos, and I'm like, there's leaves everywhere, there's shit everywhere. It's like, there's no fucking way they race here. I'm like, you know what? When I get home later, I'll look online, and it turned out there's racing. But this was November, so there was no COVID. Ray insisted that I show some more photos of me, like being very pro-like.
I did. I insisted.
You did. So when I get back to Atlanta, I was like, you know what? Let me, like, what's fucking, I need
spring.
to, still don't know. We still don't know anyone. I'm like, what can I do? Photograph, So I go to the velodrome, and there's racing happening. And these are the first pictures I took at the velodrome, the first night. And I'm like, it's just the most magical place. It's like, the light, the fact that how it's just, I just couldn't, it's so cinematic, and, it's cycling at its, I just kind of fell in love with it. So what happened then was I'd start to go every week, and I'd, introduce myself as I'd start to introduce myself. I started to take a few pictures, and it really became like an outlet and somewhere to like try things and do things and meet people. I mean, look at that. This is the first time we met.
Look at that.
This is September the 8th, 2021. That's when we first met. So this was Ray. This was like, hey. I'm like, hey. He says, I'm Ray.
And so I remember this moment, and I remember that.
We'll probably remember this moment differently, so let's hear what you have to.
No, I knew I had seen a byline. I somehow knew that you were down here. I didn't expect you to be there. I didn't know that you were photographing at the track, and I just saw you and I yelled at you.
No, I don't think that's. I
what
have
happened.
lots of pictures of you before on the loaner bike as well.
Yeah.
When you look back, the wonderful. So I've been doing this like for a few years now, and it's quite an interesting challenge, because I try not to keep taking the same photos and come up with a new way. But this is Ray and young Julian, baby Julian.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd include that because you're here, and
It's like 4 years ago, probably.
yeah, that was the states where you were a state champ. Were you state champ? Stand up, state champ. Yeah.
It's fine.
So then, again, it's like life coming full circle. So, I got to meet you, I got to meet Spencer, people who ride bikes. But then I'd get very curious about what people do. And Spencer's a musician, and I go photograph his gig. And then
And when you're doing that, you're experimenting, you're trying new things.
Yeah, I'm having fun. So there was this place in underground Atlanta called Inner Space. And I'd start Carl Janes, who ran that. I would go and take some pictures, and I would ask him if there's anything cool happening. And I ended up, the space closed, but he had a weekend where he had 3 nights, and I went every night to document. I just thought it'd be really important, that this, again, it's like being a teenager again.
Yeah.
It's like totally like music, sports, T-Pain. And then, I'm kind of using.
Ooh, you can see, yeah.
Now I'm like, I did that shutter drag in the thing. Yeah. But then,
it gets even better. There are probably many people in this room that are in this photograph. Right
so maybe
now.
you explain this.
Oh my God.
I'm exhausted.
As in true Andrew fashion, he comes to me and says, hey, I got this idea. He has a lot of ideas. This one was insane.
But we'll shout out to Buff, though.
Buff is here.
Buff, are you here? Hand up.
We'll call him co-creator of this
There we go, yeah.
madness.
Anyway.
UCX. They want to do a film thing. I want to do cycling. We didn't really have the idea when we went to shoot it. It really came together a lot more afterwards.
I had the idea.
He says he did, but there was no script. There was nothing.
There was a
Trust me.
production book. You were there at the meeting. There was plenty of ideas. So this for me was just like, I had this idea. I know a couple of people. It's still early days here, but it was just an amazing community moment where people were like, yeah, fuck it. So Ray was the director of photography. Spencer flew the drone. Bobby did all sorts of things, GoPro and whatnot. Raniel. It was just like this magical thing that kind of came together. Yeah. And we actually had a production meeting the week before we shot it, and had everyone over the house and was explaining to them what it was going to be, and had a whole presentation and had some pizza and some beers. And, you know, when everyone left, Z and I said to each other, you know, like even if this is shit or this doesn't happen, like we've met our people.
Yeah.
You know, and that was huge, but we did it. So is that going to play? No, it's not going to play. All right, no worries. Oh, where is everything? Okay, whoops. Anyway, so
Here we go.
So after a couple of years,
2 weeks from now? 3 weeks?
we made an 8-minute short, and it was been
9 minutes, Buff says.
9 minutes. Okay, 9 minutes. You'll find it on YouTube if you have a look for it. I can't. So this is again another circle of life moment. So just the fact that we did the film was amazing. I mean, really, just can't. We finished the film. We had a premiere at Halfway Crooks, and that was enough. That was like everything. And then I did enter it just randomly to the Bicycle Film Festival, and it was accepted. So it's showing in New York in a couple of weeks in the East Village where Z and I lived in a place in the Ukrainian National Home which we walked by constantly. So it's a real. Z was the executive producer on the film too. So everyone was involved and played a huge part. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've pretty much done it all at this point, so what do you do after that?
Well, you know, you do this.
You go get plastic surgery, like a facelift? Or?
Yeah, can't you tell? Just for tonight. I was going to get some implants, but that didn't work out. So this is me. April 17th of this year.
Jesus.
So, you know, you're cruising, right? And then, boom.
Life's like, wake up.
So I was diagnosed with a congenital heart issue, bicuspid aortic valve, which I had no idea that I had for all my life. And it was discovered last August. And this April I had open heart surgery. And I've got a cool scar.
You sure do.
So why do I show? You know what? Zia took this picture too. So it just, you know what? It's like, it's just so wonderful to be here. Like, you know, like this is like I couldn't have thought that. You know, like it's like, you know, it's a. But again, you know, I'm very fortunate to have a life, obviously, but to have a life, you have to live a life. And one of the things I've learned as I've got a little older is, you kind of, I've been fortunate because circle of life has certain things that kind of come back around, but you don't know in your 20s, like, you know, that circle might not be. And I'm very, very lucky for that, and grateful for that. But you know, so this was it. Like I thought my career was over.
Yeah.
As you do. And also, it was definitely challenging post-surgery to be like, because you can't, you know, I didn't feel like I was going to do a project at home. I couldn't do anything. But I'm happy to say that I'm back on track. So this is.
You had a shoot today.
Well, this was so I finally made it to the Velodrome last night of the season,
the final,
which was in September. And you know, and I was like, I gotta try not to take the same photo. So I found a new angle.
This is a really hard picture to get. I love it.
So the other thing is kind of like when I process some of the stuff now, it kind of has that cross-process feel too from back in the day. So yeah. So also get yourself some friends
who will dress up like you.
Who will dress up?
That's an amazing, yeah.
So Spencer on the right and Pat on the left. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Give it up for Andrew Hetherington. I have to say... No, you did. No.
I did.
Get that camera ready, everybody. There he is. There you go. Got a photo.
Okay, I can't see anything.
Got you.
That's good.
I have to say this is this is one we've never had one like this before. So, it was an honor to hear your story, to share. You know, a lot of times artists come and we look at their best pictures. And that is really great and can be really great too. But yeah, this style of story, you telling your own story, is really great. So just thank you for making it so personal, being so open. I think everyone will agree with me that they can take some inspiration, some motivation, some new ideas out of this. So Andrew Hetherington, thank you. Thank you everyone here for coming and sitting so long. We will be back in 2026. So follow us on Instagram and wherever else.
We
have a
still have time
website.
for a quick drink, or
Yeah.
we have to leave?
Of course. So we have to leave here, but we can go to Bob's or we can go
we still have
somewhere nearby. We have a few minutes.
We have a few minutes, so if anyone wants to grab a drink, please.
Yeah. Thank you everyone so much.